Hi, everyone. I'm Matt Clark, research analyst with Money Markets, here with your weekly marijuana market update. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel. Get notified each and every time we post a new video. Very simple to do. Just make sure you click that subscribe button if you're not already. Click that notification bell down below, and you get notified every time we release a new video. We've got a lot of great stuff on our YouTube channel. Ask Adam Anything. This is where I sit down with our chief investment strategist, Adam Odell, and ask him any question related to the market that you want. Investing with Charles, Green Zone Fortunes co-editor Charles Sizemore and I talk about the market. We talk about stocks. We talk about dividends. We talk about all sorts of stuff, all related to the stock market. And then we have the bull and the bear. This is our weekly podcast where I show you the trends and the analysis that move the market. All these things are on our YouTube channel. Plus, we're looking to add some new things all the time. So make sure you check back often and see what new things we're looking at. Also, I do want to make sure that I do mention our premium investment service. It's called Green Zone Fortunes. Now, this is where Adam, Charles, myself, and our entire team, we work very hard to give you even more analysis, even more in-depth looks, and one stock pick a month that we feel is the best pick for your portfolio. We deliver it every month. It's right to your inbox, and it's all for less than a price of a cup of coffee. So check that out. We'll put up a link somewhere where you can get more information on Green Zone Fortune. Now, today, I'm going to talk about some breaking news that just came across this morning, as well as answer a reader question from Twitter. And then I'm going to talk about a cannabis stock that was once part of my cannabis watch list. So let's get right into it. Now, first off, some late breaking news. As I was preparing this update this morning, the National Football League, which governs all of professional football in the U.S., announced the awarding of $1 million to two universities to study the effects of cannabinoids and what they have on pain management for players. Now, medical teams from the University of California, San Diego, and the University of Regina in Canada will be studying how cannabinoids can better manage pain from sports-related injuries and how it can be used to help with concussions and other things that come with participation in contact sports. Now, cannabis is actually banned by the NFL. Players are no longer suspended when they test positive. Now they can only be fined. So the NFL is loosening up its regulations on cannabis. It's still prohibited, but you don't face a big heavy suspension. It's only now just fines based on how many times you've tested positive. They've also kind of loosened the testing restrictions as well. And they're kind of following along with other leagues like Major League Baseball and the National Hockey League, which are starting to make some inroads with cannabis. But this $1 million in research is big, and it could set the stage for other leagues to follow suit. So you can stay more in tune to this, because I think this is going to be a little bit bigger news for cannabis than people might realize in the onset. Again, this just happened today as I record this. So and it's going to take about 3 years for the research to all be concluded, but it is going to be big in terms of cannabis, especially if the NFL gets feedback that, hey, this is something that has positive impact with things like concussions and other pain management. This could be very big for the cannabis industry. Now, on to Twitter. Now, I'm on Twitter a bit, not as often as I probably should be. But Skylar recently tweeted me. He friended me and followed me, and then he asked me a few questions, and I was very interested by that. And he asked, "Hey Matt, appreciate all the content you do. Have you looked at Avant Brands, previously G-Tech? That's my second biggest cannabis holding next to Planet 13. Well, thanks for your question, Skylar. I do appreciate it. I'm going to try to get you hooked up with some free Money Markets gear for asking your question via Twitter. Again, I love that. You can ask a question anyway, whether you comment down below on YouTube, send me an email, or follow me on Twitter. Either way, I love to see all that. Now, Avant Brands, which trades over the counter here in the United States, the ticker symbol is AVTBF. That's A as in Alpha, V as in Victor, T as in Tom, B as in Bravo, and then F as in Fox. It also trades on the Toronto Exchange under the ticker AVNT. It's headquartered in Kelowna. I hope I pronounced that right to anyone in Canada. Kelowna, Canada, which is actually in British Columbia it's in the same province as Vancouver. It produces, markets, and distributes what they call ultra premium cannabis in Canada. Not really sure what ultra premium means, but they are billing it as such. The company was formerly known as G-Tech Holdings Limited. The company's cannabis brands include Black Market, which is BLK, MKT. There's Tenzo, there's Cognoscente, Tree Hugger, and Pristine Seeds. It also has a medical cannabis brand called Green Tech, and most of its products are sold in British Columbia, Ontario, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Yukon in Canada. Its medical cannabis is distributed all across Canada in all the provinces and is directly sent to qualified medical patients through an online portal. Interestingly, on the day I recorded this video, the company launched Tree Hugger, which I told you about just a minute ago. They call it an organic cannabis flower. It's being sold in pre-roll multi-packs, and even its packaging is recyclable, biodegradable. It's all very environmentally friendly. Outside of that, again, they just bill it as kind of an organic cannabis flower. Again, don't really know exactly what that means outside of the fact that it wasn't made in a lab, but hey, to each his own. Currently, Tree Hugger is only available in Ontario because that's where the production facility is for the company. Financially, there's very little to know in terms of forward-looking projections. However, we can see how the company has performed in the past and maybe see if we see a potential trend. So let's start with total revenue. Now, in the first 2 years of operation, the company was more in a research and development phase. It was testing out strains. It was testing out facilities and best ways to grow. And so it didn't generate a lot of income. In fact, it generated hardly any at all. In 2019, however, Avant started to sell its product and generated about $1.9 million in total annual revenue. Now, that grew exponentially to $6.2 million the next year in 2020. And through the third quarter of 2021, Avant has reported about $7.4 million in total income for 2021. And that's still with 1 quarter left remaining to be reported, which is going to happen here in the coming weeks. So in all, Avant Brands has grown its total annual revenue by about 289.4% from 2019 through the third quarter of 2021, which is pretty impressive growth considering they're very limited and just in the Canadian market, and they aren't even selling in all the Canadian provinces right now. So while that does seem impressive, looking at the company's earnings from operations does tell a bit of a different story, which is why I always tell you, you can look at one metric, but it's important to look at multiple metrics to get a better picture in terms of what you're looking for in a company. Now, obviously, when the company is in a research and development phase, you can expect to see negative earnings from operations because the company is spending more money and not really making any. However, from 2019 to 2021, Avant has had a steady string of posting negative earnings from operations, including an $8.7 million loss through the third quarter of 2021. Now, while Avant has $0 in debt, which is important, it's not profitable by a long shot. And that's a big part. That lies in big part because of its production. In the third quarter of 2021, the company reported selling about 525 kilograms of product while actually producing 732 kilograms. So they're off by about 200 kilograms. They've got 100 kilograms in excess that they're not selling. And that led to a $2.6 million loss in net income just for that quarter. That, coupled with the standard headwinds seen by cannabis companies in 2021, has pressured the company's over-the-counter stock price. We can take a look at that. In the last 12 months, Avant stock has actually grown by 120% from the time it started, from my 12-month window, from the time it started around February, the beginning of February of 2021 to the beginning of February 2022. The stock price is up about 120%. However, unless you bought in right before February of 2021, it's likely your position is probably in negative territory. From February 2021 to March 2021, the stock exploded by 710%. And it tried to maintain that gain after reporting paying back a $6 million loan to eliminate all of its debt in April of 2021. But continued pressure in the market caused Avant stock to decline by about 72% since hitting that March 2021 high. Now, its returns on assets, equity, and investments are all still in negative territory, but they're not nearly as bad as their peers. So if you look, return on assets for Avant is about minus 22.1%, whereas industry peers are at minus 31%. Return on equity is minus 25.5%. Industry peers are minus 44%. Return on investment is about negative 21% compared to industry peers negative 32, almost negative 33%. And the net margin that Avant is operating on is right now negative 120%. Industry peers are at negative 185%. With the state of the market and Avant's financials, it's going to take the stock a good bit to really reach that high level it had last year again. So in terms of buying the stock now, I would tread very cautiously. This is a stock that is very thinly traded. It's very small. So the potential for growth is not nearly as high as it would be for, say other larger companies. It only sells in Canada and is even limited a bit there. So I don't see any growth strategy in place. So the company maybe just be trying to build its foundation, which is actually smart at this point. It's not really necessarily making a lot of sense to go on a mass expansion spree when money is very, very tight for cannabis companies right now. So they may just be laying that foundation, building up its product base a little bit before they decide to branch off and spider into other territories, perhaps even into the United States. If you already own the stock as Skylar does, it would really depend on when your entry point was. If you were early, then you're still looking at good gains and you probably just want to hold and just kind of sail it out and see what happens. However, a later entry point means that you probably are, you have to be willing to hold this position for a while before your portfolio sees any kind of gains in this stock. And I mean a while, I mean a year or two maybe. So I hope that answers your question, Skylar. Thank you for submitting it. We'll reach out and get you set up with some free money and markets gear for asking, kind of like this t-shirt I have on, the sweatshirt I have back here. I got some hats laying around somewhere as well. Boss man will get those out to you. Now, Skylar also did bring up something to me that I wanted to address, and that was Planet 13 Holdings, trades over the counter under PLNHF. This is a company I recommended some time ago for our cannabis watch list. I felt very strong about this. They have a big Las Vegas superstore that is massive. It's huge. It's a big tourist attraction in Las Vegas. They were in the process at that time of building a new superstore in Santa Ana, California, which is very close to Disneyland, also to attract the tourist industry. There's some other things going on there that I felt really good about. And the Las Vegas-based cannabis company did well, but then it started a nosedive around this time last year. Planet 13 hit a high of around $8.19 per share in February of 2021. It pared back, traded sideways into the summer, but then started to drop along with the rest of the cannabis market. It's now 63% off that high and just rebounded slightly off its lowest point in 12 months. After suffering from a lack of tourists visiting the Las Vegas Superstore, along with some construction at that facility, and then building up their Santa Ana facility, the company finally reported a return of sales growth in December of 2021. Now, interestingly enough, in its last quarterly call, CFO Dennis Logan said the company was transitioning to a U.S. domestic corporation, because right now their stock is mainly traded over the counter here in the U.S., but they are traded in Canada as a traditional security. So they're in the process of transitioning to a U.S. domestic corporation and registering with the Securities and Exchange Commission. Now, this could lead to a potential uplisting from over-the-counter markets to the NASDAQ in the near future. I don't see them going to the Dow, and so I think the NASDAQ is the best place for them. I do still hold out a lot of hope for Planet 13. Its upcoming entry into the Florida medical market after spending about $55 million in buying up licenses from Harvest Health, as well as earning a bid, winning a lottery bid to enter the Illinois recreational market, as well as that new Santa Ana, California supermarket, coupled with that already strong Las Vegas store, gives the company a lot of promise for the future. But I wouldn't rest too much on the NASDAQ listing right now. It doesn't necessarily guarantee big stock movements. We can see that with High Tide. If you followed along before with my cannabis watch list, we had High Tide. It popped up nicely when it moved on to the NASDAQ off over the counter and then dropped precipitously. So listing on the NASDAQ gives you a nice initial pop, but it doesn't necessarily guarantee you big gains. So don't rest too heavily on this. If you want to invest in Planet 13, do so because you believe in the structure and you believe in the growth potential, not necessarily because you foresee a big NASDAQ listing coming up. But I still think it's a very strong company, and I think even now at a much lower price point, it provides a good entry point if you want to get in and invest a little bit of your portfolio into Planet 13. Now, if you do have any questions about cannabis stocks or the broader market, you can email me. My email address is feedback@moneyandmarkets.com. We're going to flash that down below. You can also comment below here on YouTube. Look at all that. And obviously, I look at Twitter as well. So you can do that. You can follow me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is investwithmattc. Invest with Matt C. If you follow me, I try to follow you back. And you could do just like what Skylar did and email me your question or message me your questions that way. I kind of cover the broader market, cannabis stocks, and I am very partial to European football, so I like that as well as American football. I like that too. So I like to kind of cross up my Twitter feed a bit with more than just investment, but also some sports in there as well. Now, if you send us a question to either the email address, YouTube, or to me on Twitter, we will hook you up with some swag from Money Markets. If we use the question, we'll hook you up with some free gear like this T-shirt, sweatshirt, hats, all sorts of good stuff. The boss is working on getting some more stuff as well, so we'll get that out to you as soon as we use your question. Again, don't forget about all the great content we have here on our YouTube channel. It is the best investment insight, and it is all yours for free. Adam, Charles, myself, our entire team, we work hard to give you that investment information. We go on to make sure you are well informed and you can bolster your portfolio profits. Again, follow me on Twitter. Invest with Matt C is my Twitter handle. We'll flash that down below. And thank you to all of you who watch our videos each and every week. We do this because we want to bring you the best insights, not just into the cannabis market, but to the broader market as well, and kind of explain things and let you know kind of what's going on so you can make the best decisions for your portfolio. Check out moneymarkets.com each and every day as well. We give you content to provide safe, sound, smart, simple, profitable investment information for your portfolio. I'm Matt Clark, research analyst for Money Markets and your host of the Marijuana Market Update. Until next time, everyone, safe trading.